to pass the torch and get too old to rock. No more rocking for you now. We're taking you to home, but we will sing a song about you. And we will make sure that you're very well taken care of. You tell us secrets that you learn. Oh, your sauce will mix with ours, and we'll make a good goulash here. We all have to go. You must give your cape and scepter to me, and a small one for Paige. Go! Go!
Hello and welcome back to First Impressions. This is a show where my co-host Dash Hooper and I evaluate a new album each week with a few simple ground rules. First, must be an album we've never heard before. Second, we're only allowed to play it once. After that, we take notes, rate it using a variety of categories. And today, our first request album that we've done, I guess our second actually, because we did do Taylor Swift. So our second request, and that is the 1972 album, self-titled album, Elf. And if you have no idea who Elf is, it is Ronnie James Dio's very first band. So this is his first ever recorded material. So, Dash, how you doing tonight?
I am doing good. This was a fun listen. I'm excited to talk about this one tonight. This was fun. Thanks, Pops.
Yeah, so Pops has been on us pretty much since we got on the network. He's been saying, you got to do Elf. You got to do Elf. And honestly, I'm going to be entirely honest with you. This cover does not say, I want to hear this album. I look at that cover, I'm just like, yeah, Pops, we'll get to that one. Don't worry. We'll get to that. Eventually we're going to get to that because I look at that cover and the elf shitting in the cave. I think that's what Ray said last week. And like, all right, first off, he wins the internet for the night. And second off, it sums it up beautifully. But as we'll talk about, bad cover art aside, when you hear the album from the first note, you do not see a shitting elf. I mean, it just doesn't give shitting elf vibes on the album. It's much different, but whoever the cover artist might be dead by this point. Who knows? But if they're not dead, they need to be fired and banned from making any other cover art. Because this album, it's just, the vibes of the album. If you're flipping through this at the record store back in 1972 and you see this, you're like, no, I'm not into medieval elf shit. I don't need to listen to that. I'm going to pass on this one. And what you'd be passing on is a, kind of a bopping little blues romp. And you'd be completely mistaken on what you think you're going to hear. But because I was, honestly, that cover, Pops kept saying you got to do it, and I just like, oh no, I just don't. And it was an expensive buy. I was able to finally hunt one down for around 40. So I bought it for 40. The cover's wrecked, but the album plays well. So that in the end, that's all I really need is a good playing album. Cover's gonna go on the First Impressions shelf and live there. And whether I'll play it or not again, we don't want to give any kind of spoilers away.
We're not gonna give that away yet.
The cover is not the kind of indicator of what this album is all about. You don't really pick up that vibe, and it's really poorly done by whoever the artist was. Because I know when we get into the history of the album, one of the things is it was not a big seller, and I had a hard time even finding people who reviewed it. Honestly, it was hard to find reviews. It was hard to really discover anything about it because it seemed like it was pretty buried even in the time. I think now it has more of an audience than it did then, just because of Dio, nothing else. If Dio weren't the singer, this would be just one of those long lost blues romps that no one knew about. So Dio and his the completists who want to hear everything he's done, this is where you start. With John Bon Jovi, you start with the Star Wars Christmas album, and
yes, you do.
This is better than the Star Wars Christmas album. I'll give it that much. So that's not even a spoiler, because that album, I mean, I don't know. I have nostalgia.
I listen.
I have the nostalgia for it. That's about
Yeah,
all.
my nostalgia kicked in this past Christmas, so I did watch of my 25 Days of Christmas. The Star Wars Christmas special did make it in there, but yeah, on the cover, yeah, you're right. When Pops first gave this to us, I'm picturing one after seeing the cover. I'm picturing one thing, and yeah, I was without giving too much away. It's not what the cover is all about. So we'll go from there. Yeah. That's a good breakdown.
We'll dig into it deeper. And Jon is at a family function, so he is hoping he can make it. But if he doesn't, he can watch it and chime in. Like don't attack us. I don't think I'm going to be too brutal tonight, so I will not be worthy of attacking. But I do always say something I shouldn't, so you never can tell. Yeah, but Jon can chime in later. But yeah, he's doing something with his family, and if he can make it in at any point, we'll be happy to have him. If not, Dash and I got this covered. We talk about this. So, like always, we're gonna start with the history of the artist, and this is a big history because Dio has been around for a long time. As Tenacious D said in our opener, Dio has rocked for a long, long time. So, yes. I love that song. And as soon as anytime someone says Dio, I start to sing the entirety of that song in my head, just like Cartman with Sailing Away in South Park. You say it, and I'm like, damn it, now I got to sing the whole song. But
yeah, you got to sing it all.
Yes. So Dio, Ronnie James Dio, not born Ronnie James Dio. He was born Ronald James Padavona. I probably mispronounced that, and if I did, I apologize. And on this Elf record, that is what he is billed as. He's not Ronnie James Dio. The Dio mythology hasn't begun yet. So he was born on July 10th, 1942, and he passed away May 16th, 2010. He is a legendary American heavy metal vocalist. You know him. You most likely are thinking about the big heavy metal anthems that he sung. You honestly, you would not think of this album that we played today. It's not the one that you would say, oh yeah, this is, what I'm going to think of when I think of Dio. Most people probably don't even know of its existence, but get in a little bit more of his life. He was born in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, and raised in Cortland, New York. He began playing music at an early age, and he started with trumpet, moved to bass, and then eventually to vocals. And he's got that just the voice you can't miss. You hear him, you know who he is. So he took the Dio stage name in the 1950s, and it was inspired by the Mafia member Johnny Dio. And now you don't think of the Mafia member, you think of the Dio heavy metal. Throw up those signs because that was his invention. So his first band from 1957 was called Ronnie and the Red Caps, and I don't think they have any recordings as far as I know. And they eventually changed their name to Ronnie Dio and the Prophets. Then the one we're talking about tonight, he joined the Electric Elves, and it was later shortened to Elf. That's the band that we're looking at, and this was his blues rock band from the 60s and 70s, and they gained attention because they opened for Deep Purple, and also members of Deep Purple produced this album. So after after Elf, he joined Rainbow, and that's what Uncle Swifty was talking about Rainbow last week. It's one where okay, so I didn't need to show that one, but oh well, it's instinctual. I will. Yeah, so he formed Rainbow, and that was with Richie Blackmore, and in that one they released the albums Rising and Long Live Rock and Roll in 1976 and 1978, and that's where he started to get those kind of mystical, fantasy-driven lyrics. This album, spoiler alert, I guess, is devoid of any kind of mystical lyrics. It's
Mm-hmm.
teeny fragments about it, but it is very straightforward in its lyrical content. It's not, he's not wrestling with dragons and demons. He's just singing about some girl he saw in the bar. So yeah, this is a lot different than what you would think of with Dio.
True.
So then he joins Black Sabbath. After Ozzy Osbourne left Black Sabbath, he joined Black Sabbath in 1980, and they released the album Heaven and Hell and Mob Rules in 1981. I'm embarrassed to say I've not heard any Ronnie James Dio Black Sabbath albums. Songs, yes. I know some of the songs. They're kind of hard to miss, but as far as albums in their entirety, I don't think I've ever played one. I mean, we could get that thrown as a recommendation, because I don't know any of those albums. Yeah, so if someone wants us to talk about it, feel free to drop it in there, because I have not heard any of them in their entirety. But he left in 1982 because of internal tensions. Sounds like they were hard to work with. Who knows? Maybe that's why Ozzy left. Where I don't have the Black Sabbath history. John would have been our guy for that one. So John, if you're able to hear us, and now you're doing something with your son and be like, all right, I'm gonna listen to this podcast. Yeah, we don't need you to, but you could tell me if I'm wrong, because I don't know too much about them. But then after he left Black Sabbath, he formed just the band Dio, and that was in 1982. And they released several albums. Holy Diver, again, I don't know any of his full albums, but I know Holy Diver. I know Rainbow in the Dark. I mean, those are metal classics. And then The Last in Line and 1984, Sacred Heart in 1985. And he's credited with originating like the metal horns. That's his, but he credits his grandmother for it. So he said it was his grandmother, that she used it to ward off evil, and he used it to bring on metal. So it's like, all right, grandma warded off evil. He brought in those riffs that, like, all right, throw up those horns. So yeah,
makes sense.
Yeah, and then in 2006 to 2010, he reunited with some members of Black Sabbath and called the band Heaven and Hell. So this is, at this point in time, Ozzy was also touring with Black Sabbath, with the reunited Black Sabbath. And I think that's around the time I saw Ozzy with this version of Black Sabbath and discovered that he used a hidden singer behind the stage to hit his high notes. So the little things you learn when you go backstage to
never.
Yeah.
Never.
No, Ozzy sings them all himself. That dude was just, a lip syncer or something. I don't know. But yeah, it's just, when you discover that, and that was in 2006. Now he's talking about doing one last show, and I'm wondering where is that gonna lead. So yeah. So let's see here. Where are we at? We're at 2010. He toured extensively. He left the band. Actually, I don't even know if he left the band, because in 2009 was when he was diagnosed with stomach cancer. So I think it was probably they stopped touring because of his illness. And on May 16th, 2010, he died of stomach cancer at the age of 67. He was still out there rocking. And he's, at this point, he is a revered songwriter. He's a revered lyricist for his kind of wild and fantastical lyrics in the metal and bringing up those horn hands. So yeah, they did start a foundation to raise cancer awareness called the Ronnie James Dio Stand Up and Shout Cancer Fund. So you can donate to that if you want to help battle cancer. So yeah. Anything else you found? Is there anything else you found about?
I just knew all about the from pretty much from the 80s on is what I knew Dio. Again,
yeah, same for me.
Black Sabbath, yeah, for mostly Black Sabbath and Dio, because that was my formative years in the 80s, and So, yeah, he truly is one of the. To me, he's one of the greatest singers of all time.
Oh yeah.
He's up there. So while I don't put him up there above some of my other, in the top spot. He definitely is in the probably top 10 vocalists for me because his voice is so. But we'll talk more about that. But no, I don't have anything else to add to the history of the artist. I just think he's, a pioneer and probably one of the, like I said, if it wasn't for him, some heavy metal we wouldn't even have. So
yeah. I mean, you can't hear Chris Cornell without hearing Dio in there.
Dio, absolutely.
So you have that same kind of powerful metal voice, and yeah, the first time I heard Chris Cornell, it just made me think of Dio the first time I heard Soundgarden. So he's got that same kind of just a range that most humans don't have. I mean, it's one of those things you get 8 million Eddie Vedders because everyone, all the decent singers can hit that growl, but no one's trying to riff on Dio because good luck, you're gonna sound pretty bad. It's kind of not a voice people are gonna be doing.
No one mumbles like Eddie Vedder, though. No one mumbles like Eddie Vedder.
Good luck, yeah. So there we go. Mob Rules, Heaven and Hell, both great albums that I have not heard. So yes. I'll have to check them out because I mean, I know it's funny because that's Uncle Swifty chiming in. If you don't know, and I remember when he was still living with my grandparents, listening to the Rainbow in the Dark album in his bedroom when he was still a kid. So yeah, it's kind of like hearing Dio brings me back to my grandparents' house, sitting in the room with Uncle Swifty, and he would make these crazy mixtapes where he's like, "Oh yeah, I got an interview with E.T." and he would use, he would talk and then E.T. would be lyrics from songs. So he was doing that kind of stuff. So yeah, it was kind of fun. So, all right, no homework, but yeah, we're not. Yeah, I mean, I got notes for sure, but I'm not angry at this album, and that's always a good start. If I don't start off like fist clenched, how dare you record this and make me listen to it? Then we're in a good place. I don't think you can. I think I'm gonna be unflappable tonight, Ray. But then again, I may have just asked for it because Ray is too powerful. So
no instigating, Ray. No instigating.
Yes. Yeah. No, it's fine. You're welcome to instigate, and I'll do my best to stay composed. But history of this album, 1972's Elf self-titled album. It was the first recording that Dio was ever on, and it was not a metal album. There's hints of metal throughout.
Yeah,
and we'll talk about that as we go through. But this is blues rock. This is boogie. This is kind of honky-tonk piano in a bar. This is definitely not what we think of. But this band's lineup, Ronnie James Dio was the vocals and bass. Mickey Lee Soleil, I'm assuming, was keyboards. And this dude, oh man, the keyboards honestly, they feel like the prime instrument in a lot of these songs. Yeah. Like they're as powerful as the guitar in a lot of these songs. So it's you think of if you hear this album, you will think of those pianos because he just wails on that piano. And Dave Feinstein was on guitar. That's Dio's cousin. And then Steve Edwards was also on guitar. And Gary Driscoll was on drums. It was produced by Roger Glover and Ian Pace of Deep Purple. And that led them the slot to open Deep Purple. And as we said before, it's not fantasy themed. We're not, he's not battling a demon. He's not, none of the things that you really associate him. It's blues, it's honky tonk. It's very bouncy, just not what you would expect. Especially you get that cover and the moment the needle drops, it is not what you're imagining.
Yeah.
Yeah. So today is not hate throwing day. No, don't worry. We'll find another time to throw hate. But this is, Pops, and when Pops kept suggesting it, I was thinking, Pops, have you actually heard me on this show. Because if I don't like the album, I'm not gonna put on the kids gloves. Maybe in the beginning, because I was like, I don't want to be too mean, and now I'm just like, let it go. Release your anger. It's too late for me. All right, so yeah, not a bad album. Same. We're in the same boat with this one. I had never heard it. I'd only seen the cover, and as Ray pointed out, it is Elf shitting in a cave, and it's the worst album cover. My wife looks at it and she's just like, what the heck are you about to play? And then, like I said, as soon as the needle drops, she's like, whoa, hey, wait, no, that's not. I was ready for the flutes to open the album, not the rock. So yes, once we start digging in, it's definitely not what you would expect. So yes, we'll save the hate for another week. But now we shouldn't have it. We have some good stuff coming up. We're not gonna put any spoilers out there, but we have 2 bands that are actually going to be coming on the show with us. And yeah, I'm so excited. So I will not release the hate on them because we want to actually get more bands on, not less. Yeah, I got you on this show to tell you suck. Like, all right, Joe Walsh, we got you on this show. Now let me tell you what I think about your album. So yes, we'll be nice. This week will be nice week. Like I said, I have some notes, and not everything I have to say will be nice, but reviews really difficult to find. Honestly, I searched the internet. It was released in 1972. It was not a big release. It didn't sell very well. It was not a huge, significant commercial success. So it didn't really have a lot of reviews. Rolling Stone didn't review it. A lot of the big publications didn't.
Yeah,
but from what I found, mixed. There were some that enjoyed it. The one kind of theme throughout all of this was they liked Ronnie James Dio's voice. That was kind of the universal saying, okay, this guy's voice is special. And at this point, no one had heard his voice. So they loved the voice. Other people thought it to be kind of a competent album. It was competent. It has potential, but it doesn't quite stand out. And I can see that. I mean, it's something that it doesn't scream, oh, this is going to be, the biggest hit on the radio one day, but it got decent reviews. The vocals got it. Some said that it was just too conventional, that it just had kind of lacking a unique identity. So those are the pieces I found.
Are those original or are those
are original? Those are the original ones. The retro ones, Jack White was solid, good stuff last night. Yeah, I went to see Jack White, and
nice,
always good. Changes things up, but it ended up being very similar to the set list I saw last time. So I guess I kind of looped into the same kind of day. So excited for the new Rat Stereo. All right. I don't know what that is, but that sounds cool. Crime movie Rat Stereo. And yeah. The retro reviews, that's more where the modern critics see it as a valuable look into Dio's artistic development. And they liked the rawness, they liked the charm of it, and that, even if you love Dio, this is the vocals are what's going to make you love this album. And yeah, all music looked at it and said it's not essential, but it's fun to listen if you want his full discography. And a lot of the retrospective reviews say it's historically important for what it becomes, but it's not groundbreaking music. And I'm not going to fight them on that. I wouldn't call it groundbreaking, but I certainly wouldn't call it bad either.
I'm going to disagree a little bit where I think you start, because like you said, we don't get Chris Cornell without him. We don't get some of these other heavy metal bands without. When I say groundbreaking, this is us getting Ronnie James Dio. This is so I think it's I love that, and we'll go into it more. And I didn't mean to jump out of tune here, but I disagree. I'm right there with the retro as far as you need this out. I think you need this album for Ronnie James Dio. I think you need this album to, even if you're not a completist, I think you need this to see him.
Yeah, to see the pathway that leads
Yeah.
to where he is, because there's one song in particular, and once we start digging into our favorite songs, there is one song that really you can see the full blueprint of what Dio's going to become. And I'm sure Dash will be, you know, kind of talking about the same thing. So yeah, we'll see if we have the same agreement on that. But let's hit now. We've talked about the reviews. Now our history. What's your history with Dio?
Again, just like I said, you know, I owe my brother probably a lot of my I owe my brother a lot of my rock and roll history and my taste for rock and roll and heavy metal. And again, I didn't know of this album. I did know, like I said, I knew of the Black Sabbath and the Dio. Again, that's where I'm growing up.
Mm-hmm.
So you're getting a lot of that. But yeah, growing in the 80s, Ronnie James Dio was literally big part of your life. If you were listening to any kind of, it didn't matter, rock and roll, heavy metal, whatever you were listening to, Ronnie James Dio was a huge part of your life, especially late 70s, early 80s for me. And so I think I have all the Dio albums. I think there's a couple of Dio albums. I have heard three, I think. And I think I heard one of the Black Sabbath albums. So if you guys want to throw anybody, I mean, we can just throw it on there ourselves, but if anybody wants to throw on a Ronnie James Dio Black Sabbath album, throw it out there. We'll do that one. But yeah, I just, he is a big part, and you, like I said, you nailed it with Chris Cornell. I think you can go to probably any of the early 90s and mid 90s alternative, grunge, any of those guys, and you ask them who their inspiration is, and I guarantee you probably 90% of them will say Ronnie James Dio. So he's
it's undeniable in some of their voices. I mean, you just hear it right there, and it's prevalent. It's not they could pretend like it's not, but you know, it'd be like 7 Mary 3 trying to say they didn't get influenced by Pearl Jam. It's like, all right,
Jam, yeah.
Quit your mumbling, quit pretending. We know the truth. But yeah, it's definitely there. For me, I don't think I've ever played one of his albums in their entirety, but I know so many Dio songs where it's just because you haven't heard the album. And I try to think, like, when I would be sitting in Uncle Swifty's room back when I was a kid, when he was a kid too, I would be probably like 6 or something, but I still remember it. And I might have heard the full albums then because I remember him playing those ones, and I enjoyed it. I mean, it's one of those things. He's an undeniable talent. He's got an undeniable voice, and yeah, he's one of the kings of metal. Like if you're building a Mount Rushmore of heavy metal, he's got to go right up there. Like you got Ozzy, you got Dio right next to him. Even though Dio came after him in Sabbath, it's, you know, you can't deny that they both need to be sitting on that Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, I mean, listen, everybody knows Holy Diver. I mean, if you don't know Holy Diver, you've been living under a rock. Holy Diver's been in movies, commercials, TV shows. Holy Diver has been everywhere. So I think everybody has a little taste of Ronnie James Dio. There's no way. And to say you haven't heard, you know, you may not have known, but now you do. So he's fantastic. And you're right. He's right up there on the Mount Rushmore for sure.
Yes.
No doubt in my mind.
All right. So, yeah. Let's dig in. Now we can start talking about it. We kind of been holding back the spoilers. But I think, honestly, if you've watched this show enough, you're going to know where I'm going to fall. I can't get through the history without spitting venom at certain artists. So my venom is stored away for another day when it's earned.
Your fangs are back in right now, I think, and rightfully
they're retracted. So. It's safe.
Your fangs are.
It's safe to come out.
Yeah. Overall, I absolutely. There's 3 things I love about this album. Ronnie James Dio's vocals, his writing. Again, this is not his off into fantasy world, but there's still very good, solid lyrics, and you see as you said, you see the emerging. The flower is budding, and I love the instruments. I really did love the instruments on this album. I thought everything was, for me, everything was well placed. This is good enough to be in a honky tonk bar or a regular old dive bar, jamming out and dancing and having a good time on a Friday, Saturday night. This is that kind of music. And the only thing I disliked, and sorry, Pops, I dislike the cover of the album. I am not a fan of it. But my overall thoughts is this is a really solid album, solid enough. I get that it didn't sell well, and that's understandable. And going along with the retrospective, and I'll say it again, this is an album you need to have in your possession. This is an album, if you are a Ronnie James Dio fan, this is an album you must have to see the birth of him. And I think you see it, and I think you hear it. And we'll, like I said, when we get into songs and lyrics, you'll understand what I'm talking about. But from the moment, like you said, from the moment the needle drops, I'm thinking something different, and then immediately head bopping, and I'm into this album. And you may not like the title of the first song, but it is a great song to start with. It is catchy, and you're right there in the album. So, and I think it ends well for the most part. But overall, I just love this album. I thought it was a great album.
Yes, I was angry at the first song. It gave me vibes of we're gonna get a cool horny song opener, and it was just you call it hoochie coochie lady, and then it's not. It's like, all right, no, that song's a lie. It should have been retitled, but otherwise, I got.
But listen, Blurry Alan Rickman was sitting right next to me during this album. Blurry Alan Rickman, right there.
Shout out Blurry Alan Rickman.
Sure,
there he
shout
is.
out Blurry. Yeah.
And this is the worst image of the cover, but I thought that's the best because it's Blurry Alan Rickman. Like, which one's Blurry Alan Rickman? Yeah. You decide.
You'll know who Blurry Alan.
Yeah, so Blurry Alan Rickman. So yes, this album, it definitely Blurry Alan Rickman would be hanging in the bar, bobbing his head to the piano. He'll hold up his beer at multiple times to say that I feel your vibe. Unlike last week's Bad Company attempt at blues, that was just embarrassing. I got the blues in my soul. Like, no, dude, no.
Sorry. Was good.
You got parachute pants in your soul. You failed me. But no, this one did not fail Blurry Alan Rickman. Blurry Alan Rickman felt the vibes of this album. He was there. He was bobbing along, and yeah. I thought, for my overall thoughts, it was entertaining. Starts strong, has that bar, like kind of Blurry Alan Rickman bar and boogie rock vibes, honky tonk piano. Yeah. I did find that it toward the end, I'm just like, all right, let's try something different, something new. And I thought it was also missing strong choruses. I think if they had come up with a really strong chorus on one or two of these songs, then it could have been radio potential. It could have been a radio hit. None of these have that chorus that just gets stuck in your head, that undeniable hook where you're just like, damn, I'm singing it all day. None of these have those. These have kind of forgettable drop out of your head choruses. And I think that's really what sets it apart, where it could have been a massive juggernaut, and next thing you know, Dio's not the metal god, he's the blues god. But it was very entertaining, a few standout tracks, but I just thought that one hook, that one undeniable chorus that so many of those 70 rock albums have. I mean, all the eras, you think of the chorus, and that's what just gets lodged in your head, that earworm that's so undeniable that you can't stop thinking about it. That's what this album was missing. I think that was the main factor that was missing on this album, was that one big chorus. I think would have made this an album that everyone knew, and we wouldn't have talked about it because we would have already listened to it.
You bring up a good point. I sat there and thought about that too. What you know, because we're listening to a blues rock, you know, blues rock and roll album here, and to think of the road that he traveled. What if he had stayed on the? I just wonder. I mean, I'm glad that he took off and went with Black Sabbath and Dio and the other ones. But you brought up. I really sat there and thought. I wonder what it would have been like had he stayed this course. Would we be remembering Ronnie James Dio the same way? And I don't think we would. I don't. No. While I love this album, don't get me wrong. I don't think we would remember Ronnie James Dio if he had stayed this course. The course that he took was the course that was the right course.
It was the one he needed to take. Absolutely. Yeah. It's one of those things where, you look at your Elseworld. And speaking of Jon, he writes his book Drumsticks of Doom, where Black Sabbath becomes the main band instead of the Beatles. Well, he could write another chapter of it where Dio becomes a blues rock god instead of a metal god. And like, that's the way to fix the earth and get it back to the way it's supposed to be, is by getting Dio to succeed with his blues. So there you go. We've written the next chapter in Jon's book. There we go, Jon. So, I would now like to start talking about songs. What were the best songs on this one for you?
You know what? I'm going to be nice. We could probably make an argument for both ways. We really could. We could make an argument for some that are not good, but again, when I'm immediately drawn in on that first song, and it head bops, I got to go with Hoochie Coochie Lady is a really good song. It is. It's thumping. It's upbeat, and you're right there along with it. I did love I'm Coming Back for You. I thought that was a great song. Nevermore, I thought was a really good song. And Dixie Lee Junction. It's just the bluesy stuff right there, and so those were probably my top four. I could make an argument that they're not that great as well, but the reason I'm making the argument for it is because I felt them. I was, you said you didn't get into the choruses. You're right in that aspect, but I felt like I could sing it long enough and bop along enough with each one of these songs that it was worth saying they're the best song. And it's not a bad album. You're right. I think there could have been some meat added at the end. And it probably would have been a really fantastic finish. I thought it was a good finish.
Yeah.
Good, not as good, not great, as the guy at the office says. Good, not great.
It doesn't fail. You don't think, oh man, this thing just did not stick the landing. And we've listened to some where they end it so poorly that you just almost forget about the good that came before it. Almost, like a bad movie. The bad ending is what you'll remember. And this one, I wouldn't say there's anything particularly bad, but it's just what made it not explode. What were the pieces missing? And that's what I had to look at, because of course the hardest thing to evaluate in this show is an album that's just kind of good. It's not an album that's bad is easy. I can tear an album apart that's bad, and that's easy. An album that's great is easy, but if an album's just good, it's hard to just say it's good, kind of not bad. I'm enjoying the vibes. No, I got to try to think about, okay, what is separating it from greatness? And I think that's those big hooks, those big choruses, because it has the instrumental hooks, but it's just missing those big lyrical hooks. Yeah, because that's what you want. You want that earworm that's just like, okay, kids on TikTok will be playing it because it's such an earworm that they can't even deny it. So I think that's what I would look at.
I mean, you could even take a song that doesn't have a real. I would say it doesn't really have that Gordon Lightfoot song, the about the ship that sank in the. I mean, that doesn't really have a chorus for the most part, but it's hooky because there's things that. So I think you're right. I think that's what this album is missing. Something, even if it doesn't have a strong chorus, there's still some things that didn't really pull you in. And I agree with you on the radio. I mean, had this thing had some great hooks, you're right. I think it would have hit the radio.
Yeah, and you look at his songs that succeeded later when he was doing his heavy metal. They have those. You hear the name of the song and Rainbow in the Dark, and you just start singing that chorus.
Yeah.
That's what it's missing, is the one where you see Hoochie Coochie Lady. You're like, what's the chorus again? You don't start singing it because you don't actually remember what it is. Or I'm coming back to you. Or it's just the chorus is I'm coming back to you. That's it. Okay. It's not the one where you Rainbow in the Dark, and now it's in your head, and that chorus is singing in your head. So
exactly.
Yeah.
And yeah, exactly. Uncle Swifty. 100%.
We will not mention the Eagles on this podcast.
100% correct, Uncle Swifty.
Oh man, no.
I knew that was coming.
Yes. So there we go. Someone's gonna poke the bear. Can't let it go.
I was waiting for an Eagles.
So there you go. Yes. If that's what you enjoy, then good for you. You know, you can have that. Although Witchy Woman, I think of the Seinfeld episode. So yes, that was Elaine's song. So yes, I'll give you that one because of Seinfeld. All right, so let's see. My best songs, I had Hoochie Coochie Lady as well. I thought it was a solid opener. It establishes exactly what you're going to get, which is opposite of that cover. You carry the cover, you pull out the record, you drop it on, and like I said, I'm expecting flutes. I'm expecting like the Joe Walsh trouncing through the forest kind of vibes. And then you just get this rocking, like, here we go. We're in the bar. It's about time. I shall raise my soda to you and do your thing, Mr. Dio. And yeah, it grabbed you in a different way because it's a polar opposite of what you expect, especially knowing where Dio eventually moves to. You expect it to be more mystical, weird lyrics, just like the cover, but it's got that honky tonk piano. It's got those strong blues riffs, and it just
still guitar,
like you said. The Bob test. There, I went the same place that you did. So okay, I thought that. I think it wrote it even in my notes. This passes the Dash test. So yeah, I liked First Avenue as well. That was another good blues rocker. Great piano, great guitar. I mean, great piano is kind of a theme throughout this album. That piano is just kicking. It's just the man on the pianos is tearing this album up, and he's as vital as the guitarist. And then Nevermore, this was what I would call the top cut of the album. If you want to hear the bridge to Dio, because it starts like it's going to be some kind of Scorpion style ballad, and then it just builds and builds, and next thing you know, you're like, oh yeah, I'm Beavising out on this, and I'm just rocking my head. I got the metal horns out, and it just, once that big guitar kicks in, it can stand alongside Black Sabbath. It's now here. This is directly connected with it. It has no blues vibes at all. It is just pure heavy metal rock vibes, and this is where you can see, here's the evolution. This track takes you to where Dio goes next with Rainbow, where he goes with Black Sabbath, where he goes with his solo career. This song, from what I read when I did my research, is one of the only ones from Elf that was in his set lists when he would play shows after Elf. Because I mean, if you go to see Dio and he's just, rocking out with all these blues songs, and you're here to see Rainbow in the Dark, you're just gonna be lost and not very happy. But if he plays that song, if he plays Nevermore, you're just gonna think, "Ooh, is this some Dio cut that I haven't heard yet? Is this from a B-side on Holy Diver or something?" That one is the one I think that any of his fans would think was a later cut, because it evolves and flows like so many of the good metal songs, where you can even talk about influence. I'm mentioning the Scorpions, and the Scorpions don't exist when this album comes out.
Right.
So it's something that would need to influence them. That kind of opening, soft, put your lighters in the air, start with your lighters, end with your horns. That's what this song is. And you can hear how other bands pick this up. So even though it was not acclaimed, it was not a big seller, you can hear where other metal bands would have picked up on this one. So
that's, again, that just goes back to him being the the inspiration for a lot of bands, and I love it. Yeah, Nevermore is probably the best song on the album. Agreed.
And then I like Dixie Lee Junction. I thought that was a fun one. It's kind of mixed in its vibes.
Yeah.
It starts with more of a rock and blues, and then it gets to really kind of jaunty, bouncy boogie rock, and that's where the chorus goes. So it's, again, you can see he's kind of exploring what he's going to be, and he could have gone full into that blues rocky vibe, or as he did instead go full into that metal vibe. But this one is the one that kind of you can hear it starting one way, ending a different way, where Nevermore it follows that path of the metal song. So but I enjoyed it, and I'm trying to think. It's those ones I like, but there's really honestly nothing on the album that I would say I disliked. I guess going into our next part, and that would be anyone's to skip for you.
You're right. There's not one. I don't know if I would. I don't know if I skip any. I mean, I'm not a fan. It's not a bad song, but I'm not a fan of "Love Me Like a Woman." It's all right. I mean, it's okay, but I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of it, but I wouldn't skip it. It's fine. It can stay in the rotation.
Yeah.
I don't think I skip any really though. I can listen to the album continuously. But I think on Love Me Like a Woman, I could probably just go do if I got my headphones in or it's playing or whatever the case may be, I can go do something and still hear it. And I think that's the only one really. Gambler's all right. It's okay. It's a decent finish. It's not, again, it's good. It's not great. It's an okay finisher. There have been great, if you go to almost all of Dio's albums, the closing, opening closing songs are always great. But it's not bad. But I think the only one that I probably could go wash dishes or something is Love Me Like One. But I wouldn't skip it. I'd leave it on. I wouldn't just skip it.
Yeah, because I think with a skip, the effort that it takes to skip a track, because I got the vinyl, and I'm not going to put the effort in. Again, you're right. I think the final two songs they're not terrible. They're not great. Love Me Like a Woman, Gambler, they're just kind of mid. I guess they would earn the Mego. So yes, they would be something that gets us the Megoat, but they're not awful. I think that's where this album lives. Even at its worst, it's not terrible. At its best, you can hear where it's going to go, what it's going to evolve into, but it never hits the point where you just go, oh, I hate that song. So, yes, there we go. We'll bring him in. The Megoat comes in for the final two songs. So, yes, he makes an appearance today. But, yeah, I think my skip one, I never, like I said, it's nothing that's terrible. I'm Coming Back for You. I just found the chorus so uninspired that it kind of lost me. But I'm not taking the needle off. I'm not going to put the effort in because I don't dislike it. I don't truly dislike it. It just kind of goes in that mid-level Megoat. He is coming in for several of the songs, and I think with it being his first album, you think if this was the style he chose to embrace, he could have taken it and evolved with it. I think he could have made this something good. Would it have been his wheelhouse? No, his wheelhouse is metal. I mean, you want to be one of the top people ever. This blues rock wasn't going to be his way, but I think it could have evolved. It could have got stronger. He could have brought in someone else to co-write songs with him and write those licks, write those hooks that really get people in and can't get them out of your head kind of lyrics. But yeah, I don't think there's nothing I truly dislike. There's just Megoat. I think we're both in that same boat. It's just, you don't love them, you don't hate them. Where some of our skippers, it's just, yeah, I will take the effort. Even though it's a vinyl record, I don't care. It's worth the effort. I'm going to tick, 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 tick till I can hit that groove just right and not have to hear it again.
We've had some downright hate ones.
This one, like you said, it's, I'll do the dishes. Okay. Bathroom run song. It's not one that you have to get rid of, but it's not one you're going to, if I'm playing it on Spotify and I'm adding songs to my playlist, they're not making it. You know, the only one, I think the ones that we mentioned would make it, but the last two songs of the album just kind of fall flat. Dixie Lee Junction, I thought it was okay. It gave me Little Feat vibes. I don't know if you know the band Little Feat.
Yeah.
But when I'm hearing that, I hear, Dixie Lee Junction was the one I got Boston vibes. It had that almost More Than a Feeling opening.
Yeah.
So you have to question, did Boston rip this one off? Because I had to search who wrote it first. And Boston, More Than a Feeling was 1976. So, yeah.
Dixie it's a possibility.
Junction, Boston's like, ooh, we're going to steal that because no one knows it. Rob the one you don't know. So, yeah. Oh, it was Love Me Like a Woman. That was the one.
Love Me Like a Woman.
Yeah. That had those Little Feat vibes. And I'm not going to say I'm a big Little Feat guy. So, when I hear the Little Feat vibes, I'm just like, I don't hate it. I'm not going to say I dislike Little Feat. They just kind of hover in the middle for me where, we know if it's the Eagles, you know where I fall. But if it's Little Feat, I'm okay. So, yeah.
Don't no. I don't need those vibes tonight. Nope.
There he is.
No, I'm not one of the. Nope.
He's Uncle constipated Swift. Elf. Get that elf some fiber, for goodness sake. Poor guy.
Wow.
Yeah. He's shitting in a cave, and he hasn't eaten fiber in weeks. He's living on an all-meat diet, and that poor guy, it's going to be a rough night for him. Yeah. We feel for the elf. He's going to have to listen to this album to get it out.
Get it out.
All right, so Ray, yes, that's still the greatest of all lines. So let's see. What are some lyrics that stuck out to you on this one?
Listen, we're going to talk about, we brought it up 3 times already now, Nevermore. I mean, again, it's hard to pick one lyric in this song because it is, to me, such a fantastic song. And I love Can't Remember How I Got From Here to There. Isn't any reason. Plain and simple. I can't recall anymore. Would be misleading. Lead me on. I mean, this whole song, like you said, and again, now I'm hearing the Scorpions backing him up on this for some reason now, because do and then you're taking the steps. You're walking the steps, and this progresses. And progresses into one of the greatest songs. Clutching to a bundle in the night. Nobody knows. Those leaping dogs of winter on the fight. And everyone goes. That's how that song ends. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's
I got goosebumps so sitting good. Here. Ladies, I don't know if you can see it. I got goosebumps sitting here talking about this song. That's how good it was.
Yeah, if you do nothing after this episode besides seeking out this song, go seek it out. I mean, it is such a just definitively good Dio song that most people probably haven't heard. So well worth getting. I had lyrics from that one too, where he said, hell and fire burning higher. Now I can see the ever after. Clock is moving only when I see. You don't hear me in the laughter, nevermore. And one thing I said about this album, kind of like last week's with Bad Company, it's very shallow in a lot of its lyrical content. It's just kind of right there. And this is the only one that's more metaphorical and just gives you more depth, where a lot of these songs are, oh, look, she's cute. Let me talk about how many ways she's cute. All right, I'm going to list them all off. All right, that's the end. So, yeah, it's got the overall shallowness to some of the songs, and then you get Nevermore, and you hear, man. Ooh, this has got potential. This is why they would look for him.
This is the one where you're driving around in your car by yourself, and you have the song on repeat continuously. Mm-hmm. And if anybody messes you, if you're traveling somewhat with somebody and they talk, you have to restart the song because you don't want the lyrics to get messed up. Yes. That's that kind of, you guys know what I'm talking about. That kind of song.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, man.
And if you're driving and you get home, you can't stop. You got to finish it. Then you get out of the car.
You sit in the car and you finish it. You may listen to it one more time, even though you're
Yep.
stopped, and then you get out. Yep.
Yeah. You got the pizza in the car, but pizza can wait. You got to finish up this song. So yes, it's not a Grateful Dead jam, so that's not going to give you 17 minutes of waiting. It's a solid little 4-minute song, so you're okay. The family will be fine. The pizza will stay warm. You're good.
It is definitely not a Grateful Dead song. That's fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah. And please, no Grateful Dead. That let's not do that to me because I want to keep my sanity.
Yeah, I don't know. Listen, I know there's a lot of deadheads out there, but I am not a deadhead.
Yes, and I'm glad you enjoy it, and good for you.
Yep.
Come at us in the comments if you so desire.
Yeah,
Tell us about Jerry Garcia's deep lyrics and how they are iconic and everyone loves them. And you'll be right and wrong at the same time. All right.
We'll agree to disagree.
Yes. So let me see. Any other lyrics? I thought I'm coming back for you, even though it wasn't a song I loved. I like the lyrics where I'm standing in the shadows now. You think I'm dead and gone somehow. When the morning comes, you'll see around. So
yes, I had that too.
It's kind of the mystical. What is he doing? Is he a ghost? It's
Baby, I'm coming back for you. Well, I'm coming back for you. I'm coming back. I see. That's why I liked it. I know you thought it was not one of the better songs, but to me, baby, I'm coming back for you. Well, I'm coming back for you. I just thought that was cool. Again, and you're right. You don't know if he's a ghost. You don't know what it is, and that's why I think that's why I connected with it so much. Just those lyrics feel like your time is coming fast. Well, keep hanging on. You're just going to have to last. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I agree.
No, you're good. I did.
The lyrics
and
on
I think,
that one,
this is good ghost story vibes. Like I could write the ghost story for this song. If it's not to be taken literal, just I'm coming back. You're going to see my face. So I just imagine his poor ex or widow, whoever she may be. She looks in the mirror and there's Dio's face. So, you're going to see my face.
Like the vibes.
I start rewriting it like I did Hotel California, and then it gets even better. So
I like the vibes.
A lot to me just felt, a lot of the lyrics felt really shallow. These ones felt less shallow, stronger. I mean, hoochie coochie lady, she's handsome, she's got everything a woman could need, and she'll dance some. She can't follow because she only leads. Like, blah, whatever. You're shallow. You're the puddle on the slip and slide. You're not moving me. But
he's in love. He's in love.
He's a fifth grader in love. Those are weak lyrics.
He's a fifth grader in love.
So I've stolen notes from my fifth graders with more depth than that.
That's fantastic. Yeah.
So yes, he even says she's never missed a day of school or something. I got my lyrics up here. Oh, she never missed a day of school. So really, it is straight up fifth grader vibes.
I think it's
maybe Ronnie James Dio wrote it to his girlfriend in elementary school, and he just decided
I think he wrote it in high school. I honestly do think he wrote it in high school. I feel like this was like a poem or something. That's the vibe I got from it. It was a high school love, and he wanted to express it. That's the feeling and vibes I got. Do I think this lyrics are great? No. I mean, it's still a good song. It's still upbeat, and it moves. But are the lyrics that great? No. Again, because I do think it is a high school love note or love poem. That's the vibe I got, though. But it's fun. It's still good. Though.
That's what I felt. But I'm not gonna disparage the song despite its fifth grade love lyrics, because it's a bopper. I mean, Blurry Alan Rickman's so drunk he doesn't give a fuck what he's singing about. He's like, that's right.
This song
she never missed school.
Blurry Alan Rickman and us are gonna be sitting there with our pool table, holding up our beers, and we're gonna be like, "This is our song." Yes, that's the kind. Yes, that's exactly right there. We're screaming, "This is our song," even though we don't like the lyrics that well. This is our song.
Should I get a high-res image of this? Yes.
Yes.
Blurry Alan Rickman cannot be clear. It's as simple as that. He became Blurry Alan Rickman because of this garbage copy that I found. And
yeah, that's the
it shall
perfect
live like
picture
that.
of Blurry Alan Rickman.
Yeah, he needs to stay blurry. So if you have a high-res image, we don't want it because Blurry Alan Rickman is meant to be blurry. All right, so now we're going to hit up our final category. Are we keeping this? I think it's a pretty easy one. Are we keeping this, or are we going to return it to the used bin?
It is staying. And again, I reiterate what I said at the beginning of the show. If I'm not saying you have to be a completist, but if you want to have Ronnie James Dio at his pure, I think I almost say his purest, but at his newest, at his budding, at his coming out as one of the greatest singers of our time, you have to have this album in your repertoire. And you know, it's not one that you have to go listen to all the time, no, but you need to hear it, and you need to hear it every so often. So for me, this album stays. It's definitely, I gave it a 4-star, only because probably, and there's probably some biasness in there, because of my love for Ronnie James Dio, and so it gets a 4-star. You know, again, I think if it ends better and we get some of that punch that we got just a few years down the road from him, like we did from him, this probably goes into a 5-star album for me, even though it didn't sell well. There's a lot of albums that haven't sold well that I've thought were fantastic albums, and there's albums that have went platinum and double platinum and triple platinum, Swifty, that I just don't like. And so there you go. This is a great album. I'm keeping it. It stays in the album shelf.
Yeah, and I'm keeping this one too. I'm probably more 3.5-star, 3-star on it, because what's good is really good. What's not good is very mediocre. And I think if you could get one more song on the level of Nevermore to close the album out, it's elevated. We could deal without hearing about, you know, the gambler. It's just it's a story song, and the story's not compelling. It's, again, all right, your 5th grade narratives. He needs to put his elementary school notes away and stop using them for songs. And yeah, it's just a big closer could have made this album an all-time classic. Instead, it falls into something you need, something you'll want to hear, because there's the history of Dio, and you can hear, I mean, the voice is still, even though some of the songs aren't as strong as his later material, that voice is still just amazing, and it's the very beginning. So we're hearing, even though he's singing blues, he's still giving us those Dio howls. And yeah, he's howling through a blues jam, and it just works. And Pops, I was worried. I was hoping. I'm like, I don't want to shit all over your album, but here you go. I did.
Great album, Pops. Great album.
Pops, good pick. Thank you for the recommendation. We got more recommendations coming up, I think, of our next 6. I think that's what we have all set up. Half of them are picks from other people, and then the other half are ones where we have band involvement, where the band will be joining us live. So we can come in, you can give your comments, talk to the bands, and yeah, we'll be announcing those earlier than normal, probably a few weeks early, so you can know and tune in, and definitely listen to the albums early, because you're going to want to know what to ask them. So yeah, we have some really good stuff coming up that'll be taking us through I think July. I have a couple weeks where I won't be available, but yeah, we'll be moving through July, and we still have more picks, because Uncle Swifty, he threw a pick at us. We haven't put it in our mix yet, but right now I just built the next 6, and then we'll probably do 6 after that, because I'm constantly pursuing bands, trying to get them to come on and engage with the show. And with that said, it's going to take a little bit longer to build the list, because we have to see bands take priority over anything.
We even got a Lisa Welchel, the Blair from Facts of Life. We got a request for the Lisa Welchel album. So I don't know.
Someone out there does not like me.
I wanted to say no, but I don't want to turn anybody down. So
we'll
sure
get to
we'll
it
find
eventually. We're
we'll
gonna
find a
shoot
way
it
to
off.
do-
We're shooting it off like we did Elf, because that cover, it's scarier than Elf. I saw it. It's like, oh no, why? No, I haven't heard it yet. I don't want to know how much the damn vinyl is going to cost me, because I'm not dropping an arm and a leg on that one.
I didn't see it too expensive. I didn't see one that was too expensive, but
yeah, I'll worry about it later.
Yeah, I was like, I had to send that to you. I mean, I immediately, when they sent that to me, I immediately turned around and sent it to you, because I knew what was.
Why?
Well, we got it.
Yeah.
And
that's why I got to work, and that was waiting for me. It's like, okay, someone out there doesn't like me. Was it Ray? It must have been Ray.
It was not
what
Ray.
Can I give? What can I give?
It was somebody that watched the show.
Yeah, hey, that's good. You know what? Well, we'll take your recommendations. I know Uncle Swifty's got one as well. I forget what it is, but that's okay. He wrote it down in one of the chats, so we can definitely.
Is it the cross Canadian ragweed one?
I think that's it. Yeah.
Yep.
So now I know, but like I said, we've booked out to July. Once we get through this batch, then we'll throw in some more recommendations, and of course, Dash and I want to pick a few of our own things as well. So we'll get into that, and hopefully, like I said, more involvement. Every time I go to a concert, I pester bands. I pester them on Instagram, and hopefully we get more who agree to get on here. So
love it.
Next week, things are going to get a bit crazy. We got Trollfest, Flamingo Overlord. It's going to be insane. I did send some questions to the band. We'll see if they get a chance to respond, whether it's through text, video, audio. I'm not sure how they're going to respond, but my questions are as crazy as this album cover. So trust me, I didn't ask them standard kind of questions. So should be fun. And we'll have a special guest next week for that one as well. So
this might be my favoriteest album with flamingos on it. This might be my favoriteest album with flamingos on it.
Are there others to pick from? I didn't even know.
Yeah, there's a few.
So we're gonna have to make the top 10, the Flamingo album Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, we might have to make the Flamingo album Mount Rushmore. I like where we're going with that.
Yes, and I'm ready. I got the right pick for hats for next week and everything. So I'm ready to bring the flamingos in. So that's it. Next week should be a fun one with a weird album that we're all ready for. So yes, we'll have a special guest. It's actually, I guess this one technically was a request by Matt. Let me see, Matt Knowles, and he was the one who suggested it, but he knows the band, so he's the one that's also trying to kind of get us the in, so we can actually speak a little bit with the band, ask them my absurd questions, and should be fun. I just got the vinyl last week, so I have it on vinyl, pink vinyl, of course, because what other color would you want for a Flamingo album? So yes, I'm looking forward to that one next week.
Nice.
So now let's head out with our sponsor videos, as we always do. Next week, tune in. You're not going to want to miss this. It's going to be completely insane, and I can't wait. So tune in, Flamingo Overlord. But for now, a word from our first sponsor. Here we go. Next up, Alice with Mr. Fish Lee. You got to check his out. Fish should be on Saturday Morning Comic Talk in 2 weeks, I think. So looking forward to having him back on. He's always amazing. Check out his book. It's live on Kickstarter. I backed. You should do the same.
Beyond the World We Know is a place where reality bends and time stands still. A place where legends, fairy tales, and nightmares are real. A world where legends are born and destinies collide. Alice has spent her life lost in an interdimensional rift known as Wonderland, and it forged her into a deadly bounty hunter. With her ancient clockwork guardian Big Ten by her side, they hunt the things that stalk the shadows of Wonderland. Alice Lost in Wonderland, issues 1 and 2 launch May 6 on Kickstarter. Follow along at GoMrFish.com.
Very nice.
Right. So like I said, that one's live now. I backed. I think there's 2 issues out, so I backed whatever the catch-up tier was. I did that because he always has good stuff. So next one, let's check out our Chris Brown.
Yeah.
I think you were saying that one is not.
No,
live.
that one's open. No, I think that one's. I think that one. If that's the book, that's live. The card game one. But I think the card game one. This one's still live. I just backed this one. I'm excited to see this one. He's phenomenal. This card game. I watch Pops and them play. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
I gotta get on there because I've been watching this ad for a while and it looks really good. So I'm excited about that one. So I gotta hit that before it's too late. All right. So our last sponsor, check it out.
It's Flip City Magazine, The Parodies, Special Edition, with savage send-ups of The Walking Dead, Star Trek Picard, Stranger Things, The Mandalorian, Guardians of the Galaxy, and more from the first 4 years of Flip City. Get Flip City The Parodies free when you subscribe in print at flipcitymag.com. The world's best satire magazine, and never, ever woke.
All right. So thank you for watching. Tune in next week when the Flamingos take over our show. It's going to be a wild one. I'm looking forward to it. So have a great week. And I will be...
Have a good night, guys.
I'll be live on Saturday. So this will be my first Saturday for a while because I've had cons and free comic book day. So tune in this Saturday for Saturday Morning Comic Talk. And until then, have a great rest of your week.
See ya.
On the tube and feel the vibe. Every show you crave right here live. Heroes and villains clash in the night. Madness Comic Network sets it right. Scroll through the list, find what you need. Epic battles and fast-paced speed. From capes to cosmic space delight. Tune in and watch your favorites ignite. On Facebook, share the thrill so grand. On X, the buzz across the land. Madness Comic Network all around. In every episode, joy is found. uploads, they never end. Superheroes and their friends, catch every twist and every turn. Madness Comic, you will yearn. Stay up to date with every twist. Madness Comic, don't miss a gist. From laughter to tears, every mood. Madness Comic sets the groove. Click that button and subscribe. Catch the wave and ride the tide. Join the fun, join the craze. Madness Comic brightens days. Hey! New uploads, they never end. Superheroes and their friends, catch every twist and every turn. Madness Comic, you will yearn. Stay up to date with every twist. Madness Comic, don't miss a gist. From laughter to tears, every mood. Madness Comic sets the groove. Click that button